Okay, so this is the first part of my 3 notes per string videos, and this is just an explanation of how I approach trying to remember and teach myself where all the locations of the notes are using the 3 notes per string method. If you're not familiar, there's basically 2 ways, there may be more, but there's 2 ways that I'm aware of approaching major scales, and sometimes referred to a diatonic scale, a 7-note scale. That is the Cage system, which is based off of 5 chords, C, A, G, E, D, and then you have 5 positions, and then you have the 3 notes per string. Now, the Cage system basically is the idea that you have a C shape, and then you have a chord for that shape, you have an arpeggio for that shape, you have a pentatonic scale for that shape, and you also have a diatonic scale for that shape, and they're all in one location. And then you would move to the next position, and there's 5 of those, and it's very has a lot of positives, that technique, because you get to equate the chords and the arpeggios, everything together. The other way to go about it is 3 notes per string, which is a way that you basically say to yourself, okay, there's 7 notes in the major scale, and I'm going to figure out 7 positions. That is, I'm going to first start the first position on the first note of the scale. Then I'm going to go to the next note of the scale and make a position from there. The next note, the next note, the next note. And that's why you have 7 different positions. And I'm going to play 3 notes on every string. So that's going to make you move a little bit as far as shifting goes. But it's really nice because you get a lot of consistency. 3 notes per string. Your picking is more consistent. And you can do sequences and fast runs, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, a little easier. So there are pluses and minuses to both systems. If you're really familiar with pentatonic scales, then you might be better off learning the Cage system. If you already know all 5 positions of your pentatonic scales up and down, then you would just need to add those other 2 notes to get your major and your minor scales and the 7 modes and that kind of thing. But even if you do know that and you want to do some flashy runs, or maybe there's a song that you're not familiar with, and I mean that you're trying to play, and you're like, how does the guy play it that fast? He may or she may be using 3 note per string scales. So anyway, this is my take on it. I'm curious to see your guys' comments and let me know what you find works, because I'm just trying to get better. That's what we're all trying to do. So before I get into any of the shapes or that kind of thing, I want to show you the 3 different finger positions that we're going to be using throughout every one of these shapes all over the neck. There are only 3 possibilities as far as, remember, we're talking about 3 notes per string. What is the spacing of those 3 notes? There's only 3 possibilities. 3, if I could do a 3, there you go. The first one is going to be a space between each note, or jump a fret, whatever way you want to say it. That kind of idea. So if I'm playing the first note on 3, I'm going to play 5-7. Okay? That one in particular, if you're only used to pentatonics, that might be a stretch for you. The second one, I'm going to put a space, and then a not a space. So if I'm playing again on the 3rd fret, I'm going to play 3-5-6. Okay, and then the last one, not a space, and then a space. So if I'm again on the 3rd fret, I'm going to play 3-4-6. That's it, just those 3 shapes. There's going to be tons of combinations of those, depending on what string, what grouping you are, where you're going to play. But every time you're either going to play this shape, or this shape, or this shape. Every time. So, the first thing I would suggest is to just play those shapes up and down the neck as a warm-up, and also to get yourself familiar, especially again if you're not used to playing this wide spread. And just a note on that, you're going to play the first note with your first finger and the last note with your pinky. So then you have 2 options, obviously, in the middle to play this middle note. I prefer to use my middle finger. Some people use their ring finger. It's totally up to you. So here's an example of how I would practice this. And there's tons of different ways. It's the same kind of like a chromatic warm-up exercise, same idea. But here's an example of how I would. First of all, metronome, drum beat, whatever. This is 100 beats per minute, playing triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. you could do what you want. You could play all the way up here if you wanted to. Whatever way. You could just go ascend the neck. And then do all reverse on the way back. There's tons of options. You guys probably know that already. The other thing, so then you would just do the same thing with the other shapes. You get the idea. Another option, something I saw Joe Satriani say, is to do all legato. Okay? And if you're kind of new to legato or you haven't really practiced that a bunch, that'll let you know real quick which one you need to work on. Because, for instance, when I'm coming back this way, it hurts my hand more, so I really need to practice that more. So anyway, you want to practice those 3 shapes, and then we're going to get into the 7 pairs of strings. If I look at 6 notes at a time, then it forms 7 different groups, okay? 1 starting on each note, as I mentioned. Hopefully this stuff will make more sense to you. I know this can be confusing, and sometimes one explanation rings home and the other one doesn't, so hopefully this will help you. Again, you can let me know how you go about it. So check out part 2. I'm going to go over the first 3 shapes. Try not to give too much at once. Let you go at your own pace, then we'll cover the last 4. And then I'll show you how to just like start connecting them and where it goes all over the fretboard. All right.